on September 11, 2007, my firstborn, my son Track, enlisted in the Army. Exactly 1 year later, he and 3,500 fellow members of the 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 25th Infantry, deployed to Iraq from Fort Wainwright, Alaska. 13 days earlier, I had been chosen by John McCain as his vice presidential running mate. I was both governor of Alaska and a vice presidential candidate. That meant I had to convince the campaign honchos to let me fly home to see Track be deployed. I had to travel with security detail. I had to give a speech.
Serve with honor, soldiers. Make America proud.
The press wrote down my every move. Still, on that day, all the pomp and circumstance didn't matter. That day, I was just one of thousands of proud but wary American women. I was the mom of a young soldier being sent overseas to defend our country.
We're gonna miss you. We can't help it. We're gonna miss you.
And that was no doubt an emotional day for Governor Sarah Palin and her family, and she continues to join us tonight in this special edition of Hannity. Governor, you took issue with John Kerry in the words that, people who failed to get an education and therefore stuck in Iraq. You do that in the context of telling a story about your son, Track, and how he was scheduled to come home, and he gave up his seat on a plane, which meant he had to stay there another month, and you couldn't have been prouder of him. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Track did do that, and I think that any other soldier would have done that too had they been given the choice or the opportunity. Track, as a young single soldier, though, was willing to give up his seat for someone who needed to get home for his family's some personal health reasons that his family was going through. I was proud of Track. So proud of every young man and young woman who chooses to defend our freedom, making these sacrifices. And yeah, I take issue with Senator Kerry and anybody else who would belittle these men and women in uniform who are America's finest, who are a source and a force for good in this world. And I take issue with them because I know who these individuals are. And it's not just because my son is one of them, but he and his buddies who, they could be doing anything else in the world right now. They could be partying and going to school or getting a job somewhere. For this time in their life, they have been willing to put many other things aside and make great sacrifices for something greater than self. And though I do fear for our democracy, as we talked about a little bit ago, Sean, they are the ones who give me hope in our democracy and in the future of our country, because I think we must be doing something right in this country to be able to raise up these young men and women who would choose to sacrifice, being willing to sacrifice all for our Constitution, for our freedoms, for what it means to be free in America.
You take it a step further, and when I recently interviewed former President George W. Bush, he, as a former president, did not want to criticize Barack Obama. You have not been shy about this. As we were talking about economic issues in the last segment, you said, I think ordinary Americans are tired of Obama's global apology tour and hearing about what a weak country America is from left-wing professors and journalists. And I guess in light of what I asked you at the beginning of the program, you are now seriously considering a run for the presidency. You have decidedly different views than this current president. What would you do differently on economic issues? What would you do differently as it relates to, national security and defense?
Oh, well, with national security first, I certainly wouldn't be coddling our enemies and poking in the eye those allies whom we need to remain a superpower. And I certainly, though, would never be questioning the desirability of being the foremost superpower in the world, as Barack Obama has done. When he made this statement some months ago, Sean, it just blew me away. And I kind of looked around proverbially and asked myself, come on, Americans, do you understand his view of America when he has to ask us whether we like it or not, that we're still a superpower? Goodness gracious, if we are not the foremost superpower, and we got there by exploiting responsibly our vast natural resources and incentivizing innovation and rewarding work ethic, if we are not that, then our world will become much less safe, much less peaceful, and he doesn't understand that. See how he has a different worldview than many of us, and I believe that the worldview that I have when it comes to wanting America to be strong, to be prosperous, to be voluntarily generous, I believe that that is shared by the majority of Americans. I do not believe the majority of Americans share the same views that Barack Obama does when he's out there apologizing for America's exceptionalism. And when it comes to the economy, very basic free market enterprise principles that can be applied, and I know that they work, Sean, because for 20 years as a city manager, as a mayor, as a council member, a lawmaker, as a commissioner, and then as a governor, I applied those free market pro-private sector, pro-states' rights, had to sue the feds on different issues, pro-individual right principles, putting them into play. I know what works. Also, because I've worked in the private sector, I understand how to make a payroll, how to balance a budget, those things that someone like Barack Obama and many in his administration have no clue about because they just don't have that world experience.
What do you think, if you had to grade this president up to this point, I think the electorate spoke loud and clear in these midterm elections, you had to grade Barack Obama on those two issues, national security and the economy, what grade would you give him?
Well, he's got that letter grade right by his name. You know, every time you see President Obama with a D right there, Democrat D, he's got a D. And
on both sides.
In some respects, on both sides. In some respects, there is failure on many of the policies that he is supporting today. Again, I'm going to go back to this printing money out of thin air right now, this quantitative easing, this monetizing of our debt and incurring more debt, and then not allowing tax cuts to take place for our job creators. This is not how you get the economy roaring back to life, by messing and manipulating with our currency, devaluing the dollar, which will result in inflation. All you have to do is look at other countries who have done the same doggone thing and it didn't work there either. You have to look at those things that have been failures in other countries, and you see that Barack Obama is following those European style of economic principles anyway, and you wonder, why is he doing that? He is going to get an F when it comes to our economy.
Just ahead, Governor Palin on how she handles the onslaught of attacks from the left and what her combat strategy is.
Even if we go down, we're going to go down swinging, because we're going to go down fighting for what is right.